Good morning, everybody. It is June 6, 2017. You're listening to MarketStream.live. My name is Joseph Cusick with the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. And we're talking about everything that's going on the European markets. And the opening has been brisk. As a matter of fact, we had EU retail sales come out this morning. They were better than expected by about 0.1% at 0.2%. That was a little bit better than the expectations of 0.1%. So we have a little bit of upside or reprieve, if you want to say, for consumer names. The story yesterday and over the last few sessions was the move in oil. That was basically putting some pressure on some energy names. So then the likes of UK names like Shell, BP, so forth, were under a little bit of pressure. Well, we're seeing a little bit that this morning, a little bit of a rebound in the energy names, but the consumer names, and you're going to see this globally, have been under pressure. What's notable, and the reason why, the currency markets. If you actually start taking a look at the currency markets like the British pound or the euro, they're all down this morning, and you're seeing that across the board. You're seeing global currency weakness versus dollar strength here in the U.S. That is going to put pressure on these markets. Taking a look at the UK right now, down 5 points. Basically just a little bit of a downside. They've been in a nice uptrend for the last 5 to 7 sessions after challenging that 20-day moving average. You ask, why do I care about the 20-day moving average? That's that short-term perspective. If I see that the short-term buyers or sellers are in control, if the buyers, they're in control if they're above that 20-day moving average, which is the green line. The sellers would be in control if they're below, especially if they settle below. We didn't get that settlement below the last 7 or 8 sessions. So we're seeing now that the bulls on the short-term basis could be under some pressure. We're going to watch that. The move in the currencies, also in the UK, don't forget, in a couple days, we're going to have that big election. That is going to be monitored very closely. Theresa May's Conservative Party looks like they have a pretty decent lead going into the actual vote on June 8th, but there is a ton of volatility here. France, U.S., come on. We know what's going on here. This is going to be a tenuous couple of days in Europe and specifically in the U.K., especially after the terrorist attacks. The German DAX, what we've seen here in the DAX is that, again, a little bit of weakness, but this one's a little bit more notable. Down 1% on the open. So after the first hour or so of trading, we're starting to see that the German markets are really under pressure. With the euro under pressure and to the downside, this is going to put some pressure not only on just the markets in general in Germany and Europe in general, but it's also going to start putting pressure on exporters, the likes of BMW and Volkswagen. What are notable about those two is that those automakers are down about 1.4% early in the German markets. We want to keep an eye on that. We're also going to see that the financials, they're under pressure. The bond markets, you've seen that the yields are pulling off on the German bonds. As a matter of fact, if I go down here and take a look, the German bonds are right now above their 20 and now above their 50-day moving average. That's telling me that there is some bond buying on the 10-year in Germany. That is not a positive. When you look at that, that means that there's a little bit of a flight to safety. And that is in front of where the ECB policy statement is going to be coming out. Draghi's statement from the European Central Bank is going to be coming out. I'm not expecting a lot of hawkish talk out of there. I'm also not expecting a ton of new language or any new language for that matter, except stay the course. That's going to put some ripples because there's some uncertainty about how aggressive these central banks are to unwind their balance sheets and start jacking up rates, especially now that we're getting a little bit outside of the geopolitical stuff. We're starting to see that there might be maybe not as much growth as quickly as the markets were anticipating or hoping for. Finally, taking a look at France, and the CAC right now is down about 0.7%. That's good for 38 points to the downside. Again, we're seeing consumer names in France under pressure. That makes sense with the move in Japan to the downside overnight and uncertainty in China. Even though China was up last night, it was somewhat muted, and Chinese markets have been definitely to the downside. That's going to impact the likes of L'Oreal's, Danone, and other Louis Vuitton and other well-known names, consumer names that come out of France. That's going to put pressure there. Also, watch the automakers. Currency weakness is going to start weighing on net exporters, so watch that very closely. All right, folks, that is it for On the Open in Europe. I'm going to be back at 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time. I'm going to be checking out all the action on the U.S. Opens live here at MarketStream. See you then.